Alright, what is going on YouTube? An excellent matchup coming up over here. Mr.Yo versus Dogao. This is going to be from Recorded Games in Collection Cup, hosted by a Spanish caster named Locoser. $2,500 prize pool. Golden Swamp and Four Lakes being the home maps of Dogao, and Kilimanjaro and Nomad being the home maps of Mr.Yo over here. Lithuanians, Japanese, Huns, Koreans, and Tatars remaining for Dogao after he banned Aztecs and lost Chinese to a snipe. Whereas on the other side, Mayans was the global ban of Mr.Yo, lost Vikings to snipe. He's gonna be left with Spanish, Mongols, Persians, Malians, and Britons. With all of that being said and done, as I said, we're casting Recorded Games over here, and we will jump in straight away. The good thing about Recorded Games is that we don't need to take major breaks in between the games, so we're gonna have game after game after game in quite quick succession. So, Dogao is going to be playing Huns on the right side in red. To the north, it's going to be Britons for Mr.Yo in blue. An interesting combination of civilizations. Huns is not a frequently used civilization on Arabia in tournaments, mainly because it has better uses, like it's good for Four Lakes, it's good for basically any hybrid map. Now, I don't think that we have Four Lakes, I already forgot the maps. We do have Four Lakes. In that case, it's even more surprising, I would say, that we have Huns here being picked by Dogao. I guess he wanted to surprise his opponent, but it's definitely an interesting decision at minimum. Still, Huns are a great Arabian civilization, very, very traditional as well in many ways, so I kind of like that, to be honest. Anyways, on the north, it's gonna be Britons, which is a good old-fashioned archer civilization for Arabia, but I kind of feel like I like the versatility, the mobility element of Huns a lot more. So I think that Huns is a very good civilization pick here for Dogao. Remember that Chinese was sniped from Mr.Yo? Or was it Chinese or Vikings? I'm gonna have to open the draft here on my other screen, hold on. So, Vikings. Vikings was probably the idea for Mr.Yo for Arabia, and Chinese was probably the idea for Dogao. So, both of them actually lost their assumed Arabia civilization, and they had to choose something different. Both of these are reasonable Arabia civilizations, though, as we're gonna have 4 on wood for Dogao. So this is not going to be a scouts build, this is something different. Maybe men-at-arms. Men-at-arms could make quite a lot of sense over here for many reasons, mainly because you're up against Britons. So the Briton player was gonna go archers anyways. You might as well open men-at-arms and then go for archers and skirms, because you're gonna need skirms later on anyways. And Dogao, he's gonna run into the TC fire. He's very lucky that this was actually coinciding with the time where Yo was luring in his boar, because this would have been a dead scout. The scout was so close to the TC that this would have been a dead scout if Yo targets that, but Yo was too busy shooting the boar with his TC first because he was just now luring that in. Yo's 4 on wood as well, there is no surprise about that one with Britons, as he has an almost perfectly L-shaped berry patch to work with. Okay, so what else are we having over here? We're gonna have Dogao coming in with the second boar, and that is going to be a pre-milled rush here from him. Dogao is known for playing a lot of Drush-fast castles, so it's very possible we're going to see something like that being attempted here by him. He has Bagberries, which is very, very useful for a Drush-fast castle. His gold is moderately exposed. If it was in front, it's still workable. The reason why I wouldn't like a Drush-fast castle for the Dogao here is because Mr.Yo is very good with towers. In the moment Yo realizes that Dogao is going for a Drush FC, he's gonna go with towers, and this gold is not good enough to be able to hold against a good towering player like Mr.Yo. So I think it is a little too risky to go for a Drush-fast castle here for Dogao. On the other hand, Drush Archers is not something I like, because it's going to delay your archers quite heavily. Anyways, there might be damage potential over here because currently Yo seems to be unaware of that rush coming towards him. He hasn't even found his opponent's base, he hasn't found the barracks, and soon those militias will come in as a nasty surprise, and if those two villagers aren't quick-walled, they could easily get surrounded, and the only way to get them out of there would be to destroy the mill. It looks like Dogao will let that opportunity slip, and with Loom already in for Mr.Yo, it looks like he is going to end up losing one villager here. Maybe a second one. A second villager being picked off here would be absolutely enormous for Dogao. PC Fire killing the scout, but the value is still there. Obviously, losing the scout is not ideal in the case of a rush, but killing two villagers is definitely value here for Dogao. It looks like Yo wanted to open men-at-arms, and the base of Dogao is still wide open, so it's very possible that those men-at-arms will be able to do some damage, but this is actually a very nice build from Dogao. Indeed, he actually goes up 22 vills. He also killed 2 vills from the opponent. That's an excellent start so far from Dogao. And this is what I was referring to, that technically Yo is supposed to be the favorite of this matchup, but this is everything but decided. In his best days, Dogao is a top 5 player. He isn't consistent enough to be a top 5 player all the time. So he's always in the top 10, top 8 domain, but he doesn't always have like top 5 performances. So far the start has been pretty good, and Yo also felt a little rusty here with that rush defense. So, quick walls are coming in here as the militias or soon-to-be men-at-arms are arriving, and Dogao's berries are fine, his wood line is fine, the other wood line is a little bit exposed, and remember that quick walling with Huns is always challenging because you don't have houses to do house walls with, and I think that's a dead villager. That has to be a dead villager from Dogao. Look at this from Yo, I like this. He's splitting off one man-at-arms to make sure that this villager dies, and then the other two men-at-arms will just knock down the wall, so retaliation could be coming in here for Mr.Yo any moment, as he's able to pick off one villager already, and there's, I think, a hole here. Archery range on the way. Meanwhile, the rush from Dogao is still doing damage, and it's doing valuable damage here. It's delaying the blacksmith, which is huge thing here, because he already wants to go for fletching here. Meanwhile, Dogao, he just needs 2 archers to deal with these men-at-arms before the archers of his opponents arrive. If the archers arrive here faster than Dogao can kill the men-at-arms, Dogao is gonna be in trouble. And he's gonna have to keep that wall alive. He will be able to do so. That's a very, very nice defense there for him. We'll go on with the repairs. Meanwhile, archers cleaning up the militias over here. Dogao is doing his best to at least damage those archers to an extent. And the first unit popping out is going to be an archer. For Dogao, once again gets that wall up just in time. He's going to have to start adding skirmishers after, so he's doing what he has to. Adds an archer, because the archer will be responsible for cleaning up the men-at-arms, and then he's going to continue skirmishers, because that's the unit that he's going to need to deal with the archers of his opponent. There's already skirm or archers moving in, and remember that Dogao doesn't have super safe goldman over here. Fletching already coming in for Dogao. Meanwhile, for Yo, he's still missing fletching. On the bright side of things, he's bringing in the archers to the right side to pick off this archer and prevent his opponent from killing the men-at-arms. So, as I said, Yo was able to group up the men-at-arms with the archers, and that's where things are going to get a little bit more problematic for Dogao. He's trying to focus down the archers with the skirms, but the skirms will get pushed back by the men-at-arms, and the fact that Dogao wasn't able to clean up the men-at-arms before the archers arrived is going to have its effect on the game, because this is exactly why men-at-arms archers is something I like more than rush archers. You can get to archers a little bit faster because you have a faster feudal age timing, and also you're gonna have something that's really tanky in front of your archers and something that's very good at scaring away skirmishers. If Yo would actually send a couple of archers here to this gold mine, that would be even better, but it very much seems like he doesn't know about that gold mine. He actually does, and indeed he's sending the archer there. Very nicely done there by Yo. Dogao's gonna have to send the skirmisher to deal with this one, but it's about annoyance right now. It's about just idling the eco of Dogao. Worker efficiency is way better if you see it here on the right side. 80% for Yo, which is amazing even amongst pro players. 67 only for Dogao. That is because he has to scramble so much for walls, for defense. He's gonna be able to hold this one off though. And remember that from this point on, the Han's economy is gonna be much, much better. There's also double bid axe as well for Dogao, whereas that is missing for Yo. So from this point on, I am starting to like Hans more and more. I could see Dogao going for a defensive tower here, especially because the stone is close, so he could just get a little bit more stone for himself. He's playing archers, so I could see him playing fast ballistics and not dropping additional TCs immediately. And the defensive tower would protect the front of his base and his gold mine very nicely. So I would really love to see a defensive tower there for Dogao. For now, he feels like there is no need for it, but that may soon change. He's grabbing Town Watch, which means he knows exactly that he wants to avoid archers sneaking up on his wood lines and nasty things like that. Defensive upgrade in here as well for him, something that Yo already does have. But Yo is only pure archers, whereas his opponent has skirms. And that's where the diversity of units available to Huns, or in general, the diversity of their tech tree, is going to start kicking in. So Britons are so one-dimensional towards archers that preemptively going for skirms works against them. Sure enough, they can go for scouts, but that's not going to be a long-term solution because Briton cavalry isn't amazing, especially not against Huns. And it looks like Dogao is going to find an opening on the right side. Yo probably knows about it, as Yo is going to start mixing in his own skirms. Currently, the villager KD is dead even, so is the TC at all times. So the villager counts are pretty close as well. But oh boy, it looks like Yo has lost track of that army. And that's going to be a disaster. Because these villagers are so exposed here, this could be -5 here for Yo. And his army is very far away as well, so destroying this is actually going to be really hard. And I think this is why Dogao is intentionally pulling his army back to his base. He wants Yo to chase. And Dogao now moves in. Indeed, that's 2 villagers down already. Make it 3. Make it potentially 4 and 5. That is exactly what Dogao wanted. And while Yo is distracted, he's going to take this fight over here as well. This is an absolutely amazing scenario here for Dogao. Potentially game-winning move. And as I said, I really loved how Dogao just lured away the army of his opponent. Not only did he say, okay, I'm gonna attack here and just pick off a couple of villas, he also tried to make it as hard as it is for his opponent to just get any kind of army here to clean this one up. A market wall coming in here from Mr.Yo. He's still looking decent with resources, but that worker efficiency I was praising for so long is all gone. 56% only now. And the bigger number is this. 9 villager kills to 1 lost. That is enormous. And this is the exact scenario where Huns want to be at. Yo is very heavy on skirmishers, so the Huns will just switch back to double stable knights and steamroll the game with a castlage advantage. Yo wants to balance his eco and buy himself up, and he's actually gonna have the same castlage timing as Dogao does. Another villager could actually buy the dust here, which just makes it even better for Dogao. The amount of value that he has gotten for 5 archers he has sent in is great. He still has 4 of them remaining. With more archers coming in on the other side, this might be a bit of an overcommitment, because now Yo is on full skirm defense. But really, Dogao sent in 5 archers, he still had 4 of them remaining, and managed to kill 10 villagers overall in this game. Yo is still pumping out skirms, and now this is a debatable decision here for Dogao, because he's not switching into knights. He's gonna go ranges. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 ranges. No longer queuing up units, which means this will probably be elite skirm first, because he's got quite a decent amount of skirms, maybe even crossbowmen. But it's gonna be cav archers. Quad range cav archers eventually. Or it could be just elite skirm, but that's a little bit risky. Whoever controls this hill is gonna have a massive advantage in this game as well, and I would assume that Dogao is going to try and forward Siege Workshop here, and then open battering rams, knock down these ranges. But it's very weird that he's going quad range here. And it's very risky, because if Yo gets up to Castle Agent, he's gonna have elite skirms, then the quad range play isn't really going to work out anyways. So now it's going to be a stable. But as things stand, I think it's just gonna be a lead skirm crossbow here. Indeed, crossbow lead skirm coming in, and we are gonna have crossbows being continued, so he's not gonna switch into cav archer immediately. That's for sure. But I don't really like how Dogao is playing this, I'm not gonna lie. If he had knights out here right now, his opponent couldn't do anything. Like, how would Yo defend against 3-4 knights? And Huns even have faster working stables, so you could easily flood your opponent with knights here. Another villager went down here, by the way, as Elite Skirm is in. Currently, it's a mass migration from Mr.Yo, as the crossbows break in as well. Dogao is stretching out the attention of Yo so well. Like, while Yo was chasing this army, Dogao moved in with this group, and, I mean, Yo is just forced to run constantly with his lumberjacks over here. 47 vills compared to just 38. And look at this, Yo is running into a trap here. I don't think Yo remembers that these crossbows broke in. Yo actually runs into a trap here. It's not gonna be a huge amount of vills dead, but once again, villagers after villagers dying here. And I feel like, indeed, at this point for Dogao, it's worth it to sacrifice this entire army to just kill 5 more vills. Because his economy is gonna be so much better than that of his opponents that is just beautiful. And indeed, there's not even +2 defense or ballistics for Yo because he just simply can't afford it. And while I'm not really a big fan of the quad range archer play, as now Dogao is switching into cav archers, the big move was the feudal age archer play that just destroyed the wood eco of his opponent, and these crossbows are still lurking around. Yo just seems to be one step behind all the time compared to his opponent. Like, there's already horse color for Dogao, just grabbing Boso, has +2/+2 on those skirms and ballistics. And he has all the time in the world to mass cav archers, and that's not something that you want to see when you're Britons. Because the big thing here would have been for Britons that they need to overrun the opponent with crossbows before they can mass cav archers. After cav archers come in, that's gonna be way better for the Huns, obviously, because they'll have mobility, they'll have population efficiency, and they can choose whichever fight they want to take and whichever they do not. Yo can barely afford to make villagers on his TC right now. He's got 7 on food only. If you look at his economy, that tells the story. That tells the story so far. Second TC coming in for Dogao. And as I said, Dogao knows exactly that he doesn't need to be super aggressive. He's just chilling. He knows exactly he's got a massive eco lead. And he knows exactly as well that he's just gonna have to unleash the cav archers at some point, but he doesn't want to show them just yet. He doesn't want to accidentally risk wasting them. He just wants to make sure that he grabs all the upgrades before he moves in to fight. He will trade his skirmishers to the opponent's skirms here. Notice that this time he's not focusing down crossbows. He's focusing down skirms. Usually... Oh, that was a beautiful mangonel shot. Usually, you focus down crossbows because those have more damage output compared to skirms on your vills and in general. But in this case, he was focusing down skirms because he's already preparing to fight with cav archers. He was actually going for a second TC as well. But look at this. As I said, Dogao is always one step ahead. He is harassing the wood line of Yo here. Eco efficiencies are still pretty close, but I mean, at this point, Yo has very limited map control. Dogao is going to be free TCs soon. And the bigger thing is this one. Look at this. It's already 20 cav archers with very good upgrades. They think they're missing thumb ring, but that's the only thing that they're missing. They'll pick off the crossbow there, and they will see the army of Yo. They might actually be happy to fight this one. Remember, they are the ones choosing what fight to take because they have the mobility advantage. If they think that they can win a fight, they can just continue to pursue and keep forcing engagements. Whereas if they feel like they can't take a fight, they can just always run away, and Yo will be forced to chase with a unit that is much slower than the one from the opponent. 62 eco compared to 46. I feel like this is just a matter of time right now. Dogao is going to be firing downhills against that Palisade, and good luck cleaning up 20 cav archers inside your eco. That's going to be an absolute nightmare. Britain cheaper TC is definitely helping Mr.Yo over here as he's going for University for Ballistics as well. And I would love to see Tarkans from Dogao in the long run. Because that would be a decent unit here, eventually. He could continue with Cav Archers as well, but I think that Dogao can land the finishing blow soon. He needs to start sending wheels to stone, and then just go for a forward castle on this hill. Look at this. Cav Archers moving in. They will hit this wood line, and while Yo is chasing this group is gonna come in here. There is no openings on Yo's walls unless he overchops it over here. I think there is no overchop there now. Hi ACCM, hello. Now, this army is a bit of trapped over here, but there's still this opening so they can escape for a time being. But who wants to escape here when you have Cav Archers? They will jump on the Mangonels, take down one. And there's already Mangonels coming from Dogao as well. He's up to 30 Cav Archers and he's only missing Thumbring. So that is a very, very formidable force. The Mangonel is just history now. 29 army compared to 12, but that will soon shrink to something like 5 or so. Yo is dead here. Yo's got no win condition. I'm always trying to be positive and say what is the thing that a certain player could do to win a game. I don't think there is any win condition here for Yo. He's got a bunch of almost fully upgraded Castle Age Cav Archers inside his eco, running around, picking off wheels left and right. He's already getting his production buildings mangoed down, and with that, I mean, Yo's population is 58, Dogao is 115, so this is a game for Dogao here. Yo's got half of his eco idle, the other half dead, and indeed, in a matchup where many considered Mr.Yo to be the favorite, Dogao prevails, and he takes over in game number 1. Very, very nicely played from him. I think the key move was this area, like this part. This is where Dogao was able to destroy the Wood Eco of his opponent. From this point on, it was just a downward spiral. You see that it just started to snowball as Dogao started to increase his population share gradually. Overall, KD's slightly better for Dogao, but the economy tells the story of the game. And overall, the fact that, you know, Dogao, ever since he lost that one villager, by the way, like that one villager that got picked off by the men-at-arms and the scout here, he did not lose a single villager ever since then. Whereas Dogao was able to kill 23 villagers already. That was one of the things to consider APM-wise. Look at that APM for Dogao. What happened there? What on the earth was he doing at that time that he had a almost 220 APM? Holy smokes, that's blazing fast. Yeah, blocking the wheel with the scout could have been it. Indeed. Yeah, Rush Micro. Still, I mean, that's impressive. Nice graph. Alrighty, right. So we have a score here for Mr. Dogao. Britons are gone for Mr.Yo. And Hans is a win for Dogao. We'll jump into the next game over here, which is going to be on the first home map of Mr.Yo. We're going to Nomad. We're going to Nomad, and we're going to have a good old-fashioned Nomad Civ matchup over here. Dogao is playing Koreans in red, and Mr.Yo is playing Spanish in blue. Dogao is going to be starting on the left side, whereas Yo will be on the south. Yo's got an acceptable TC spot, I would say. It's close to a lot of wood lines, which is very, very nice. The gold and stone are kind of far away from the TC in Nomad terms, so maybe a TC here would have been slightly better. Obviously, you have to place your TC fast, so I'm not blaming Mr.Yo. I'm just saying that it's a less than ideal TC spot. He's got some berries and hunt nearby, though. That's always nice to have. One board around, and there is a couple more as well. So overall, it's a nice little base for Yo. If I had to rate it, I would say I would rate it something like a 6 out of a 10 or so. I have seen way better Nomad starts, though. Meanwhile, we're gonna have a worse base for Dogao here. It's a very open map for him. Gold and stone is relatively close, but as I said, it's super open. He doesn't have an enormous amount of food around. And funnily enough, his opponent's dock is right next to him. This will make things very, very interesting. Meanwhile, I like Dogao's dock spot a lot more. Look at this. All this wide fishing area allows him to go for a super efficient fishing eco. Like, he's not gonna have to replace a dock for quite a long time. It would have been even better to have it here because there's a lot of deep fish here, whereas this is a little bit more empty, I would say. But still, the fact that this is going to be a very long-lasting fishing eco far away from Mr.Yo's dock is going to be nice. The ugly thing here could be that Yo could go for his own second dock here, and that could pressure Dogao's fishing eco here. Meanwhile, for Mr.Yo, his fishing economy is going to be very inefficient. You see that there is very, very few deep fish deposits right next to this dock. So this dock came up because Yo had to place a dock. But realistically speaking, this is a pretty bad dock for Mr.Yo. We'll see how much water engagement and how much land engagements we're going to see, but this could be the good old-fashioned Conquistadors and War Wagons matchup in here. Both of these civilizations are pretty good on Nomad, and in general, the Chinese players like to choose Spanish on Nomad. That's just their play style. They love their Conquistadors, especially Vivi, but also Mr.Yo. Now, looking at the piece of information available for the players, it seems like Dogao has no idea where his opponent is at right now. He doesn't even know about this dock. Meanwhile, for Mr.Yo, we are gonna have... I think Yo doesn't know about his opponent either right now, because this was the starting spot of a villager. So I would assume that Yo doesn't know about Dogao just yet either. But he will soon find it out when this board is gonna be gone. So we're gonna have, on the other side, Dogao losing a sheep. You see, he lost track of the sheep. This is a clear indication that something is here. And considering that the dock would be very, very far, like this is still inlands, Dogao probably knows that. He should know that this is a TC. So, Dogao, now apparently also seeing the dock as well. Dogao seems to have a lot better information about his opponent than the other way around. I think Yo is gonna know about the TC over here, but Dogao has a lot more information available. Yeah, the beep boop is always me. I am gonna tell you the background story of that, basically, because we have time here in Nomad Dark Age. So basically, if you want to have Capture H switch POVs or turn on Fog of War, you have to press Alt F as a hotkey. I think now you can actually... Oh, thank God, they put a button here. I'm just noticing this. Capture H devs, I like this button. I think I was the one that was telling the Capture H devs that, look, please no hotkeys. Just give a big button I can click because I'm a boomer. So I'm not the hotkey person. I'm the one that needs to click a big button. But anyways, if you use Alt F, you actually can do that. But sometimes I accidentally press my caps lock during that with my other finger. And my caps lock does the beep boop sound. It does beep when you turn it on, and it does boop when you actually turn it off. Alright, here is the board coming in. Yo has delayed Loom quite for a long time, so he had a pretty consistent food income. That's something I want to highlight here. You only had 5 seconds of T-saddle time and only grabbed Loom just now, so his food income was very, very good. At the beginning, Dogao with the second board already in. Mr.Yo is gonna have some food issues here soon, because guess what, he's running dry. You see that. No more sheep left, basically. He only has a couple of deer here. No more boars left in close range. So Yo is gonna have some food issues soon. I don't think that he can actually carve out a fast castle here for himself. This is gonna be more like a fire galley play. Do you have like a Hungarian keyboard or just standard? I used to use a Hungarian keyboard back then when I was streaming back from home. When I moved to the US, I couldn't bring keyboards with me, so I switched to a US keyboard, which has its own stupid things, like for example the enter being smaller than European keyboards, as we are gonna have Dogao coming in to casually lame his opponent, only to run into the TC of his opponent. Remember, previous game Dogao almost lost his scout running into the TC. This time he almost loses a villager doing so. So yeah, when I moved to the US, I actually went back to an US keyboard, but now I'm back at my old Hungarian keyboard. So yeah, I'm using Hungarian keyboard, if that's a question. All right, so Feudal Age is faster over here for Mr.Yo. He's gonna open with a galley. He has 2 docks, but here's the deal. This is what I was referring to. By the time these galleys get to the fishing eco of Dogao, it's gonna be too late. In fact, I'm not even sure if Yo knows about Dogao's dock. I don't think so. I don't think that Yo knows about this dock over here. Which means that by the time he finds it, Dogao is gonna be more than happy to probably go up into Castle Age. Dogao is running all the way back home with that villager. Yo is chasing. Yo is relentlessly chasing, but I feel like this might not be worth it for Mr.Yo. Dogao is just gonna have to run back home and he's gonna be all good. He's at 400 food, whereas Yo is at 248. And I did mention, oh, we're gonna do some rewinds because this is recorded games, so Dogao apparently snuck a villager around, like a second vill. Where did this lady come from? This lady come from the right side. And it tried to drop a sneaky tower over here on the berries. Dogao is definitely playing for food control. Yo, on the other hand, is gonna be like, okay, now that is what we call a trap. He's just gonna surround that lady over there, and that should be a dead villager from Dogao. Added to the fact that this villager almost died, and it's not going to be an ideal scenario for Dogao. On the other hand, it looks like Dogao is relentlessly tower rushing his opponent. Tower rushing Mr.Yo when Yo is Spanish is definitely not something that is very frequently seen, but this is a great tower rush. Because guess what? A single tower here denies the gold and the stone, and while obviously Yo could relocate, Yo doesn't even know about this stone or this gold. Yo has no idea about these resource deposits. He's gonna find this stone, I believe, right now, but this delays his Castle Age so heavily. Also, Yo lost his chasing villager, indeed. Things are falling apart for Mr.Yo, because look at this. While Yo was distracted, he ran into a TC fire. So that's another nice thing here for Mr.Yo, or for Dogao, and the good things are still piling up. Dogao's fishing eco is still very efficient, completely alive. The galleys are now coming in, so soon he's gonna have some trouble, but he's already popping out fire galleys, and Yo cannot actually make a huge amount of galleys here because he is bottlenecked by gold. Now, here's the deal though, by the time that fire galley pops out, Yo could destroy Dogao's fishing eco, and that could be devastating for a red player. But guess what? Yo just ignores that. Yo just ignores that because Yo is too busy not dying. Oh, Yo has no idea because he's busy fighting the tower villagers, and if Dogao gets up to Castle Age, these will convert into guard towers, making life even worse for Mr.Yo here. Bit of a villager fighting coming in here. So far, nice micro from Dogao pulling away the weak vills, but this tower is probably not going up, and now the galleys find the fishing ships, so I feel like this is the moment where Yo could potentially start taking over. Or Dogao could just drop another tower here and quick pull the vills around. Neither of the players are really close to Castle Age. Dogao is going to lose some of his fishing eco, but in exchange, Yo doesn't have gold income, so both players will be heavily delayed going into Castle. We're gonna have Mr.Yo actually finishing a tower before his opponent could here, so chances are that this tower is going to be short-lived for Dogao, and that's -2 vills. Things are falling apart for Dogao. He may have overcommitted here. I did mention that towering Mr.Yo when Yo is Spanish feels like a very risky scenario. Now you see why. Spanish can actually go for super fast building towers, and Koreans don't get any bonuses for their tower rush in Feudal anymore, so really, Spanish are better at defending with towers. It looks like Dogao's tower is gonna go down here, and this is a full disaster from Dogao so far. 7, 8, 9 villagers killed. I feel like if he just sits back and sits on the lead that he has had, or just simply goes into Castle Age, he would have been in a much better spot. He sort of went for a super YOLO push here, but that did not work out, and the end result is going to be that he's behind by only 2 villagers, but the bigger deal is this. Yo is going into Castle Age, and Yo in Castle means Conquistadors, and Conquistadors on Nomad early on, when your opponent is only Feudal, is far from ideal, and there's a massive difference here. Dogao cannot fight this because there's a tower that protects the other tower, and now Yo even tries to wall those villagers in there. That was a massive disaster from Dogao. Yeah, I think that at this point, if Dogao just stops tower rushing after these 2 towers and starts mining gold or stone here, he would have been perfectly fine. Now it's Fire Galleys from Mr.Yo as well. Yo is going into Castle Age, whereas Dogao is nowhere close. He's gonna grab a market and will probably try to buy himself up. He's still not done though. He still wants to probably tower these berries over here with a sneaky villager. So, let's see. Once that market goes up, I think Dogao can buy himself up because he's got quite a lot of wood in the bank. But his fishing eco is gone, and Yo's fishing eco is still thriving. 5 fishing ships actually starts mattering quite heavily over here. You see that the ecos are the same, but Yo has been already going up to Castle Age, and he's 10 on stone. At this pace, that castle's coming up somewhere around here, and that's going to be even worse for Dogao. I think Yo has got this. Dogao overcommitted pretty badly to this Feudal Age tower rush, and I just don't see how Dogao could survive that initial pressure. And remember that now that Yo lost the chasing villager, he knows exactly that the TC of his opponent is here. He also knows that Dogao probably has no army, so it could make sense to pull 15 vills and drop a castle here. Castle Age on the way as well for Dogao, but I just struggle to see how he's going to survive until he's able to get up and get his own castle up. If he somehow survives, that could actually work out. And now we have Fire Galleys here for Dogao to finish off the fishing eco of his opponent. This could even things out here in the favor of Dogao, because he definitely has the chance to finish off the fishing eco of his opponent here, although Yo is doing an excellent job just holding on to that for the time being. And here's the interesting thing, Yo is still not doing anything with his Castle Age right now. And that could be worrisome for Mr.Yo, because that buys some time for Dogao. There's the castle that's coming up. Dogao's gonna need a castle somewhere around over here. I think he's gonna have enough time to mine 100 stone more, and then he's gonna buy 100. After that, it's gonna turn into a relatively even fight. Although keep in mind, these will turn into guard towers, so wood control could be a bit of a trouble for Yo. He kind of lost the left side of his own base. Anyways, indeed, Dogao is buying the stone. He knows exactly he needs a castle. He sees this castle over here, so go for the castle right here. Right here. Indeed, here it goes for Dogao. And this is actually pretty important for Dogao, because Yo was able to beat him to Castle Age, but that didn't really matter, to be honest. Yo was able to get nothing out of that faster Castle Age. So, the guard towers are up, which means that this gold and stone will be denied. Yo has quite a lot of resource to work with on the right side though, so he's gonna have to expand to the right. On the other hand, if you take a look at Dogao's base, this is not something that we talked about as the first conquistador arrives on the battlefield. Dogao's resources are much more limited. He's got this gold mine, this one is very exposed right now, nothing on the left, and on the right there is nothing either, so most of the additional gold mines remaining are on the far right, which are closer to Yo. So, resource control wise, this could be kind of troublesome for Dogao, especially because he's gonna have to rush up a TC here to secure any kind of wood income for himself. He's got a monastery, but no monks are coming out just yet, as behind this one, Mr.Yo has won water and he's slowly starting to leverage that fishing eco advantage. Now it's an 11 villagers lead in the favor of Yo. Part of that comes from the fact that he killed a bunch of vills in Feudal. Part of that comes from the fact that he has killed the fishing eco of his opponent. And he also has 2 TCs now, whereas Dogao just finished his second one. 4 Conquistadors versus 2 War Wagons, as this Conquistador lured away the War Wagons to the far left to allow the other Conquistadors to start pushing the right. Dogao's gonna have trouble with food income soon, because he only has berries and sheep as his food income, and there is no, like, not even any fish to work with or farms. So for now it's a bit of a stalemate, but a stalemate always favors Mr.Yo in such a scenario. He's got a massive economical advantage, so he's going to be more than happy to just chill. Remember that, as I said, his map control is better in terms of his relative position compared to the remaining key resources like the golds on the right. So he just needs to sit back and chill and just let the game go along, because he's going to be in a much better spot in the long run. He's also getting close to dropping a second castle. Makes me wonder where that second castle could come up. I would love to see a castle here, because this hill would control the entire right side of the map for him, and that would basically limit Dogao's map control to a very limited amount. Dogao is coming in here with a tower. The tower doesn't even have botkin arrow, by the way, so that applies to the war wagons as well. This tower is going to be annoying for Yo, but it's not the end of the world by any means. He's got quite a decent amount of wood to work with, and he can fall back to these as well. Yo is focusing on picking up some relics, as he's gonna dive into snipe the vills here, and that might be a GG here. Like, at this point, Dogao has lost so many vills that how is he going to compensate for this one? I have absolutely no idea. It's already 56 vills compared to 39. Yo has the water control. Yo has the land control as well. As I said, if he gets a castle up here, he's going to secure his long-term future. And behind this one, Yo is picking up relics. And Dogao's trying to tower that wood line as if this was the last wood line on Atacama or something like that. He's kamikazeing villagers in there. Another 2 or 3 went down here trying to get this one up. And behind this one, he doesn't even have the resources to afford botkin arrow. And I just don't see this single tower changing anything in this game. Another monk gets picked off here, and this time it is Mr.Yo who's clapping Dogao. First game it was Dogao clapping Yo. This time it's actually going to be the other way around. Another tower comes in here. Did I miss something? Why is Castle Age Tower Rush such a popular thing now? Monks coming in here trying to get some conversions will fail to do so, and Lord Doubt bless us. If there is any chance for Dogao, that is a Doubt Castle for Yo. It's not gonna be a Doubt Castle though, so Yo is still gonna be alright. It's Spanish Wheels building, these guys didn't have a botkin arrow on them, and there is still an enormous eco lead for Yo, so it looked a little bit dicey, but it's not really a big deal to be honest. That is Inquisition coming in for Yo. Apparently Yo is done losing his monks to the war wagon, so he's just gonna grab Inquisition so he can actually convert a little faster. I think that right now what Dogao wants to do is just resource control game. That might work, however. Think about it this way. He's controlling the gold on the left, and this is a crucial tower. This tower is denying this gold mine, and that could be very troublesome for Yo if this game goes pretty long. Now, can he destroy that? Absolutely. But there might be a very slim chance here for Dogao to try and win this game using resource control tactics. Just starve his opponent out of gold. Although at this point, I think that with the stone available for Yo, he would just rush up a castle and take down the towers with that anyways. 28 villagers killed compared to 11 still, but the bigger deal is that Dogao can barely afford to produce vills. You see that he has had quite a lot of TC time. Yo also has quite a lot of TC time, but Yo has 4 TCs, so that is something I can accept a little bit easier than in the case of Dogao. Inquisition, and That's gonna yield 1 conversion. Now, there's a massive difference between war wagons and conquistadors, though. And that is that war wagons are very good against buildings. Conquistadors aren't. This means that... oh, another conversion, another 2 conversions there. Kind of wasteful from Dogao there, as he's gonna take down another monk. He tries to get something happen here, so I don't blame Dogao for diving into this one. It's not an ideal fight by any means, as he tried to run into the eco of the opponent, but that's not gonna happen. So, the reason why he's trying to force something to happen here is because he knows exactly how much behind he is. He knows exactly that he needs to do something here. Even if he loses his entire army, it doesn't matter, because keeping that army alive will probably not be enough to win him the game by itself. Especially with that tower slowly getting cleaned up on the left side. Dogao can afford a castle, as another war wagon gets converted on the right side. The war wagons are slowly getting cleaned up here. Considering that Dogao can afford a castle and he's going for one over here, something I suspected, I believe that in this case it was wasteful to throw away the war wagons. But yeah, Yo is gonna go Imp, and if Yo gets to Imperial, he will trap down everything. The thing is that if Yo ever gets to Imp here, then it's game over immediately. Because these traps will take down the castles and that's it. And it's Spanish builders as well. I'm not even sure if this castle is going up. I think it will, because the castle is targeting the war wagons. But that's Spanish builders for Mr.Yo. He knows exactly that he needs to get that castle up. Dogao is actually luring away the arrow fire, so his own castle's coming up as well. The Kong's coming from the back here. But it's 52 wheels against 100, and Imperial Age will be coming in for Mr.Yo here. So it's just a matter of time. These towers will be destroyed by the war or the ram. And then traps out here. Take this hill, trap this castle down. Use the traps from this side to trap this down. And Dogao is gonna have nothing left. Now fervor on the way for Mr.Yo, as he wants to continue adding a couple more monks just to make sure that he can convert the war wagons here. With the war wagon down, look at this, villagers jumping inside the battering ram so they can just jump out when needed, repair it a little bit. This tower is going down, meaning 3 more villagers dead for Dogao. Dogao is more like a dead Gao right now. Indeed, here it goes. Dogao calls the GG, and with that, Mr.Yo ends up winning Nomad over here. Strikes back very, very convincingly. I feel like Dogao simply just overcommitted to the tower rush in Feudal. He really felt like he wanted to play a resource control game, and if he was against a different civ, like let's say he was against Persians or Italians, I could have justified the Korean tower rush, but a Feudal Age tower rush with Koreans is not something that you want to do against Spanish, because the Spanish will always build their towers faster. So there were many towers that failed to finish for Dogao because he was up against Spanish. And that is going to be a win for Mr.Yo. And that means that we will have an even scoreline over here. We're going to the first home map of Dogao over here. Either Golden Swamp or Four Lakes is gonna be the name of the game. We're going to Golden Swamp with a civilization mashup that's fairly unconventional, I would say. We will have Dogao as Japanese to the north, and to the south it's going to be Mr.Yo as Malians in blue. Neither of these civilizations are really common on this map. It's more like a Vikings map, or it's more like a Portuguese style map. Celts is often picked here as well. So it's a little bit interesting. Or even Britons. Now, keep in mind that the Mr.Yo lost Vikings to a snipe, and he had Vikings and Britons. So maybe he wanted to go Vikings on Arabia and Britons here. But with Vikings gone, he decided to go for Britons on Arabia, and that means that he has to go for Japanese on this map. Now that he's playing Japanese, he definitely needs to go for fish, and the survivability of those fishing ships can be really, really useful here. This, by the way, this map, Golden Swamp, is a map that was based on Hidden Cup's Cup map when Definitive Edition was released. There is a massive difference, though. There is no guaranteed land crossing that separates a small pond from the bigger pond. Also, in most cases, the players spawn on the direct opposite sides of the map. So, for example, if Dogao spawns here, Yo would spawn over here. This is one of those rare situations where the two players spawn really close to each other, and this map actually very much resembles the original map that this map script was based on, Cup. So you see that it pretty much has a bit of a cup shape as well. Very narrow crossing between the players. The middle has the majority of the gold on the map, so that's going to be something to consider. The Arabia matchup was Huns versus Britons, I believe. Somalians is definitely a civilization that allows you to go for both a dock and potentially even a stable early on. So a discount on the buildings is a very, very nice thing to have over here. Whereas for Mr.Yo, that's going to be a dock indeed. Now, he might not go for a lot of fishing ships. Wait a second. How does Yo have 6 water buffaloes all the way out here? What? It feels a little too excessive. I don't think that you should have that many. He was pushing Endearm for most of the time, but I mean, you start with a patch of water buffaloes, and then you have 3 more here? Isn't that a little too much? That's awkward. Anyways, one of the reasons why you make a dock here is because you want to use this villager on this deep fish as well. You can add a couple more fishing ships as well, or so. Yes, the Hidden Cup map wasn't directly copied, but it was used as a basis for a random map. It's not the only one. For example, Coastal Forest is a worse version of Cape of Storms. So, when that got implemented, that was a map that was based on Cape of Storms, for example. And there's a bunch of other maps that were, and even better, Four Lakes. Four Lakes wasn't an original AoE map either. It was Cross back in the days. It was a tournament map for long years before it got implemented to Definitive Edition as Four Lakes, and in fact, that is the situation where it's resembling the original script the most. Like, this one is at least an adjusted version of Cup, and it plays out very differently compared to Cup because there is no land crossing over here that separates 2 points. There's only one water segment, not 2. But for example, Four Lakes was taken as one. I assume, while I don't have a confirmation on that, is that the reason why Four Lakes was named Four Lakes and not Cross is because of copyright issues. Like, they didn't want to get into trouble with, hey, what if the guy that originally designed the Cross script is going to have problems with us using that script, so we're just gonna call it Four Lakes. Anyways, looks like we're going to have a barracks out for Yo for what is going to be a Men-at-Arms opening, whereas on the other side, we're gonna have Dogao playing as Japanese. No Men-at-Arms just yet, but that's definitely still a possibility for him. The thing is that Yo is gonna need some time until he masses the Men-at-Arms, so I could still see Dogao going for that as well. Microsoft should buy the map from the scripter. Not always possible. I'm gonna give you an example. What happens if I make a new Arabia version, or if anyone makes a new Arabia version, let's say King of Desert Arabia, and then someone else uses that map version and improves on it, makes a third version. Who is the copyrights owner of the third version of Arabia? The person that originally designed the map that's the basis of the third version, or the person that designed the final version? So that's actually a massive copyright question. Anyways, let's focus on the game over here. The militias will definitely disturb the fishing eco of Dogao over here, as Yo goes for his own dock as well. So fire galleys will be on the way. Thankfully for Dogao, Japanese fishing ships are super sturdy, so they survive a lot of punishment. Men-at-Arms already on the way for Mr.Yo, so it is for Dogao. Obviously, Japanese man-at-arms will be way better than the Malian man-at-arms over here, and Dogao will also be fully evolved in a matter of moments as well. So, we are gonna have Yo trying to get a fight being forced over here before the man-at-arms upgrade kicks in for Dogao, but that's not really possible anymore. Let's see if we're gonna have any cheesy moves over here from Yo, like for example, trying to lure those units onto the water and then have a demo kill them. Dogao actually ended up losing his scout here. Yo is able to hold on to that, so that's actually a nice thing for Yo that he is able to keep his scout alive. But in exchange, Dogao still has 2 men-at-arms to work with that could actually be able to harass the opponent. Behind this one, keep in mind that Dogao has a persistent free villagers lead because that's 3 fishing ships that are consistently working for him. Ranges coming in for both players in this one. Yo is going for a second dock, so he really feels like he wants to get that water control for himself. So, men-at-arms looping all the way around. Considering that these are Japanese men-at-arms and they attack faster, despite the fact that they are actually fairly weak in overall HP, they could still be pretty devastating. They could find a villager or so on a gold mine. Yo has seen the men-at-arms coming to the left side, so there is gonna be an archer here defending the gold mine to make sure those men-at-arms can't achieve anything. Bit axe coming in for Yo. It is already in for our red player Dogao, and as I said, those man-at-arms will not really be able to do much against that archer. The TC fire is gonna finish them off, so the 2 man-at-arms opening pretty much end up cancelling each other for the time being. Horse color even being mixed in by Mr.Yo over here. He already is forced to drop farms, whereas on the other side, Dogao is still sitting on a huge amount of water buffaloes. He hasn't even touched his berries, and he hasn't dropped a single farm just yet, plus he has fishing eco as well, so overall he's not in the need of horse color just yet. This is a fight that Yo is gonna win. He's got a random repair villager here in the middle of the pond, repairing that fire galley. Yo comes in with an archer, and this is a very, very nice move. One of the big differences between the 2 players right now is that while Dogao was sort of unable to pick off this repair villager, which allows Mr.Yo to just keep repairing, it seems like Yo might be able to yoink this will, and that would basically make Dogao unable to repair his ships. Also, Yo is doing an excellent job keeping his fire galleys alive, and it very much seems like it's the end of the road here for the fishing economy of Dogao. Meanwhile, though, he's coming in with a couple of archers on the right side, only to bump into walls that were just now finished by Mr.Yo. Yo is gonna go for a skirm defense, and I feel like Yo is now taking over. That demo is gonna be very inefficient and completely unnecessary. But still, Yo is the one controlling the pond now, and that's going to have its effect on the game in the long run, because those gold mines in the middle will be extremely important in the long run. Anyways, it's 1 range only for Dogao, 1 range as well for Yo, and Yo doesn't even have any archer upgrades. Same can be said of Dogao, but Dogao at least has the blacksmith up by now. Keep in mind that Yo has actually placed his farms at horse color. It looks like Dogao did not end up going for that. In exchange, his resources are looking much more promising, and there's a chance that we're just going to see Dogao going straight to Castle Age. And I think one of the things that you could do, considering how heavy Yo is investing into water, is forward Siege Workshop here and just start to push this side with knights and siege weapons. Once again, Yo is doing an excellent job preserving his fire galleys. It's a 13 to 6 KD, which clearly shows how well Yo has been able to just keep his fire galleys alive. He always pulls off the weak one and sends the strong ones into battle, and that is an absolutely beautiful move as well. sinking the fire galley, but more importantly, getting rid of that repair villager, and that's massive, massive value. Because now, Dogao has no tools to repair his fire galleys over here. In general, he doesn't really have a lot of ships. He wants to go into Castle Age though, and as I said, he's got a quite decent amount of opportunities or possibilities in Castle Age, either War Galley upgrade, so you can go fire ships and win water back, or Forward Siege Workshop and just press on. It looks like he will be able to retaliate for that villager lost early on, as that is a repair villager that's still alive. He was just juking arrows here, and it looks like this guy is going to survive. The villager KD is a little bit misleading because Yo's got 4 villager kills and 0 for Dogao. But in reality, that was just Dogao's extra fishing ships, something that Yo never had. So, in reality, that's not that big of a deal for Dogao. It's not like he was losing his actual vills. Castle Age is gonna be a massive advantage for Dogao over here, though. So, you see that Yo hasn't clicked up yet. So, that's gonna be a solid 1.5 minutes advantage at the minimum for Dogao. On the other hand, he's gonna lose all his archers, and a forward siege workshop might be much harder to pull off if there is archers from Yo roaming free here. So, we got the archers around, whereas on the other side, there is just a spearman for now. No sneaky will. It looks like Dogao might go back on water, because he's still popping out fire galleys, and it very much seems like he is not super motivated to go for a forward siege workshop or so. So it's just gonna be fire ships. For a moment you wanted to go for a stable, but then he changed his mind. Indeed, here comes the war galley upgrade, so that fire ships can actually hit the field. Oh, right. So, some demos coming in as well. I just feel like it's a bit of a waste that Dogao was just using his Castle Age advantage for a couple of fire ships. It's definitely nice that he's able to start reclaiming water, but I am not so motivated at seeing him getting water back, to be honest. So, sure thing, you're gonna have water, but it's not something that's going to be helpful immediately. What Yo is doing is something I like a lot more. Because there's gonna be knights coming out from double stables that could push on land immediately. Now, Japanese can always defend with pikemen, and that's a nice thing to have. But I just feel like I like Yo's approach to focus on land a little bit more compared to focusing on the water. So, second TC is up for Dogao, which is going to allow him to carve out a bit of an eco lead. Already has Boso as well, but still missing Horse Color, which is going to be a little bit of a problem for him. A demo is going to sink a fire ship, which would normally not be super efficient, but if it also takes down a repair villager, it suddenly becomes way better for Mr.Yo, who is also going for the War Galley upgrade himself. He has 2 fire galleys to upgrade immediately, but I feel like these docks will pretty much be dead by the time he gets those, so I think Dogao's gonna have water. The key thing is that Yo could push him on land pretty fast. Second and third TC coming in here for Mr.Yo. Third TC as well for Dogao on the north. Meanwhile, fire ships coming back over here, and a couple more popping out to surround this fire ship over here. As the dock is gonna stay up for now, and that's pretty important. If this dock stays up, that means that there is some extra production here for Mr.Yo. If Dogao didn't pull this fire ship, he could have finished that dock off, and that would have limited Yo's production a little bit more. Anyways, it looks like it's still gonna be double docks versus double docks. In general, Dogao is slowly expanding his crossbowman force. Still no Botkin arrow though, so they're not actually super powerful. Nice demo hit over there from our red player. Yo once again is gonna try and pull back his weak fire ships here to try and avoid getting them picked off, and there's the forward siege workshop from Yo. I like that a lot more. I feel like this map, especially when you're so close to the opponent, is not about the goal in the middle. It's about being aggressive on land, and that's exactly what we have seen on Cup in Hidden Cup as well. 2 fire ships of low HP will still survive as another demo comes in. You gotta be careful with your knights here now, though, because those knights could easily find the bottom of the pond as well, thanks to a demo. And that demo actually finishes off the dock. That's, I guess, acceptable for Dogao, because at least it finished off the dock and it damaged one of the fire ships. Forward siege workshop in here for Yo, something that Dogao is unaware of right now. So, we are gonna have some more fire ships coming in here. The water, everybody's poking around on the water, but realistically speaking, this is gonna be more about land as the crossbows start moving in. Still no Botkin arrow for Dogao, but he mixed in a couple of monks to prevent the knights from just steamrolling those crossbows. It's not a good idea to convert those fire ships, though. I think it would have been just better to let them go, destroy them with the fire ships, and then use the monks on the knights that were running around. And indeed, now the monks are... Actually, one of the monks did have faith, but the other one didn't, and that's a disaster for Dogao. They're losing 2 monks. Nice demo hit there to damage the knights, though. Still no Botkin arrow on those crossbows. Starting to feel like Dogao has just simply forgotten that. Nice mangonel shot coming in here from Mr.Yo. Dogao's gonna have to microwave for a moment as a monastery comes in for Yo to heal up those damaged knights. Dogao still has no idea about this forward siege workshop and this monastery, although he saw the mangonel, so he probably knows now. Heavy Plow and Boso coming in here for Yo, even husbandry, so he can jump those monks a little bit faster. Dogao still no reaction to this siege push over here, although he's mining stone, so guard tower defense could technically work out. He's got the water and now he's mixing in some war galleys, so he can actually do some harassment on water and deny a couple of farms. But he's still missing Botkin arrow, which is disturbing, I would say. These crossbows without Botkin arrow, they will struggle against knights with +1 defense. And here come the mangonels. Dogao's floating a huge amount of gold as well, which is a little bit awkward, because it's not like he was under a lot of pressure. So it's a little bit weird that he has such a unbalanced eco. If he was under a lot of pressure, I would say, okay, whatever, he was focusing on fighting, so he didn't have time to balance his eco. But in this case, this is a little bit weird. Anyways, 3 TCs are up still for both players. Dogao has a slight villager lead, but that may just disappear in a moment as those mangonels start pushing the TC. And to me, it kind of feels like Dogao just realized that he's gonna get pushed from this side. He's mixing in a couple of knights himself so he can jump on those mangonels as the crossbows are moving in. Yo! Oh! Now that is one hell of a move. That is worth a rewind. Here come the crossbows. The demo is just a split second too late, otherwise it would have been even bigger. But that was still a very, very feels good man demo hit there. That was super good. I mean, it's down to 3 crossbows. Now it's not even worth grabbing Botkin arrow anymore because those crossbows have just evaporated. 1 knight is more than enough to clean this one up. Yo is mining stone now, so I'm starting to think that he is gonna have a forward castle on his mind eventually. And it looks like Dogao is not really worried about this TC being pushed by 3 mangonels in this one, as Yo's dock is super weak here, but he still has a couple of knights running around, couple of ships around. As now this is what Dogao was thinking about. He was massing knights quietly back at home, jumping on the only monk that Mr.Yo had, and now he's gonna get a conversion as well, I believe. He's going to take down all 3 mangonels. Very, very nice response to the attack that Yo had. He was waiting patiently. He was waiting until he had like 6, 7, 8 knights, then jumped out and took down the monk, finished off the mangonels, and suddenly this becomes a much, much better situation for Mr. Dogao over here than it used to be a couple of minutes ago. Still, whoever gets a good demo shot in could easily swing the battle back in their favor, as +1 defense now comes in for Dogao. Dogao doesn't have a single upgrade on those knights just yet, and that's going to be a problem for Japanese. Camos appearing on the field will mean that suddenly Japanese will start struggling, and eventually we'll all have to see pikemen on the field as Dogao takes an absolutely awful fight. Dogao? Dogao is fighting against Bloodlines, Knights, and Camels with +2 defense, when he didn't have Bloodlines and didn't have +2 defense and doesn't have Camels. What was that fight for Dogao? I have no idea. It looks like Yo is coming in to colonize the middle for some extra gold, whereas on the other side, once again, we're gonna have the pressure applied by Mr.Yo here. So, now DC still stands for Dogao over here, as the monks are now coming out. Demo coming in here, and that could sink the villager, but that was a very inefficient demo hit there. 3 monks without any protection is a little bit risky here for Dogao, especially because there's a mangonel as well. Once again, it could be a beautiful sandwich though, as the knights are trying to target the monks. They take down 1, they take down 2. There was a conversion happening though, and this isn't really gonna be enough for Dogao. But the mangonels managed to finish off the monks, and now, while the villager count is definitely even, Yo's outlooks at imping seem to be slightly better, because he's got the food, he just needs to sell the excess amount of wood that he does have. And the wood price is still very, very good, so is the food price, as that's a castle coming in here. For Dogao, interesting spot to place it at. It kind of feels like, this feels like as if he was playing DM and he was playing for a long game. Sort of get a stepping stone in an assault against the middle. Meanwhile, he's about to lose his TC here as the camels are now coming in. Are there any demos here for Dogao? Not really, but the castle goes up nonetheless. 1 or 2 villagers might end up dying, but the castle's gonna go up. So as things stand, villager count is still dead even over here, as now Yo is the one taking a somewhat uncomfortable fight. But Yo is already imping. Dogao is going to click up just now. So I think what Yo needs is a castle here in the middle and just go Trebs. Keep in mind that Japanese Trebs will be way better than Malian Trebs once you get Karaparuto, which is a nice thing to have in this one. And now Dogao's army seems to be a little bit more convincing. The problem he's facing is that he's mostly going Knights, as we're gonna have a decent demo hit in here from Mr.Yo. And Japanese Knights, while they're good, they're going to be missing +4 defense in Imperial Age, and Malians, on the other hand, they have very good Cavalier, especially if they get Forimba. Speaking of Forimba, there is no castle just yet for Yo, and that seems to be a thing that will remain for quite a while. He's just not trying to get a castle up, but guess what? Those War Galleys will delay that quite considerably. And with Knights running around, this castle is gonna be delayed. This is extremely important because a castle delayed here means that there is gonna be no Trebs for Yo to take that castle down immediately. And if that's the case, then the fact that Yo is 1 minute ahead in imp timing isn't really going to matter. 2 villagers will get intercepted here on the right side, as Yo is focusing really heavily on coming back to water, dropping quite a lot of docks. It looks like the second villager is going to survive here. Lucky guy, I guess. Careening on the way for Mr.Yo so that he survives a little bit more arrow fire from those War Galleys. And as I said, this castle is going to go up eventually. But it's going to come at a massive, massive price and delay, more importantly, for Mr.Yo here. And you see a second castle is already being constructed by Dogao, so he's going to have the trap numbers advantage eventually. Knights break into the base of Mr.Yo here through a pretty massive overchop on the right side, intercepting a couple of villagers, so now the villager KD is completely evened out. And now it's going to be Halberdiers. Fun fact, Halberdiers also have bonus damage against ships. Obviously don't want to have them out here because demos could sink them easily. Behind this one, it's worth mentioning that Dogao is preparing for a long game and he already picked up 3 relics, and the 4th one is also closer to him. So sitting on 4 relics would be very valuable, as our Malian player Mr.Yo is gonna go champions. He wants to go for the champ scars. Japanese definitely have better champions than Malians do, so technically Japanese can eat that. very easily if the Japanese react in time. There's a massive condition to that, as there's only one trap for Mr.Yo, but it has been shelling that castle for quite a while. And now Dogao is gonna have to pause some villagers to repair. He should have no trouble taking down the castle of his opponent here, but he needs to start shooting, because otherwise, like you see, it's 2 traps versus 2 traps, despite the fact that Dogao has 2 castles and his opponent only has 1. Quite decent amount of pikemen out here, but no Habali upgrade just yet. As I see Farimba Light Cav being teched into by our blue player for a moment. Still, Supplies Champions is gonna be the name of the game. And it doesn't seem like Dogao is ready to fight those just yet. And considering how close the players are, that could steamroll the base of Dogao very, very easily. I think Dogao is gonna lose 1 castle here. The question is, can he trade castles? Because if he can trade castles, he's still all good. The Light Cav will try to dive in, snipe the traps over here. I think 1 trap is gonna go down. The rest of them probably won't. And indeed, the castle is gonna be traded off at the end. Habadir is now in for Dogao. 1 more trap might actually go down here. But this is still acceptable for Dogao here, as the Habadirs will take down the traps of his opponent. Another castle in the making here for Mr.Yo in the middle, as on the right side. The swordsmen start to hit the field. That is not something that Dogao likes to see, especially because this is a crucial gold mine for him. War galleys will be added here to help out defending, but these swordsmen already have 4 pierce armor, and they don't even have any infantry upgrade. Look at this. That's a problem for Yo. He has just shown his swordsmen, but he's not ready to use them. That's a massive mistake. Because now, Dogao has time to get to his own swordsmen. And, as I said, without those swordsmen having good upgrades for Mr.Yo over there, they won't be able to survive a lot of arrow fire, not even TC fire or so. As the castle goes down here as well. Once again, Yo tries to dive into the light cavalry, which are still missing Farimba. Champion on the way for our blue player. Dogao has already teched into long swordsman, but he is also far from champion himself. The good news for him is that he's got... No, he doesn't have infantry upgrades either. That's a problem. That's a serious problem for Dogao, and this is what I was talking about, that Japanese will easily clap Malian Habadirs if the Japanese have Habadirs when the Malians do, and that's not the case right now. So, as things stand, as you see, it's only a handful of Japanese longswords with +1 defense versus already 200 swordsmen, champion in the moment, that at least have blast furnace, or what is that, iron casting, even though they do not have the defense upgrade just yet. So, now the traps are shelling this castle over here, fast fires coming in for Mr.Yo. Dogao's gold income is very, very wacky. He needs gold ASAP. Because, you see, this is the only gold mine he can work with, and that's why losing this side is actually very, very troublesome for him. And that's even bigger for Mr.Yo. He snipes down all the traps. This is going to delay Dogao's push so much. In fact, this castle stays up. What is happening to Dogao? He has 150 in vills, and I understand he doesn't have gold, but where did all his resources go? He doesn't have any units on the field, and I just don't understand how that is possible. He's dead. He's got no... Like, it's 50 army versus 7. I just simply don't know where the army of Dogao went. Because he's supposed to have a better army overall, but it looks like Yo is gonna carve out a victory at the end. Overall, I feel like Dogao was outplayed in this game quite heavily by Mr.Yo. Dogao had an okay game, but Yo had an insanely good game. Like, the Fardagali micro was top-notch from Mr.Yo. Ecos, you see, this is what I was talking about. I just don't know where Dogao's army was. Almost the exact same resource count. And somehow Yo had 50 army with good upgrades, like champion, iron casting, and stuff like that. Whereas for Dogao, where was it even? Like, obviously the gold count is kind of low, but I didn't even see Habadirs that were protecting the traps. That's the problem. And he even had 1.5k relic gold. So I don't exactly know what happened to Dogao over here, but it was weird at minimum. Still, I think that when you're so close to each other, I think a land push is more reasonable. Just like we have seen in Hidden Cup on Cup, it makes more sense to push land because the water has limited effect on the game early on, and if you can have a good land push, you can finish off your opponent quite easily. So now Yo takes over 2 in a row. For him, Japanese will be gone for Dogao, and Mr.Yo is going to lose Malians. We're going to the second home map of Dogao over here, and that is Four Lakes. So we're jumping back in here as we are gonna have Dogao coming in on the left side as Lithuanians in red, and on the right side we're gonna have Persians as Mr.Yo in blue. Two civilizations that can drop very, very fast docks over here, and we will see if it works out. But Dogao had the option to choose Japanese for this map and Lithuanians for the previous one. That could have been a thing as well, although I feel like Japanese make more sense on Golden Swamp actually. But technically he had some flexibility with his civilizations. We will see if this is actually something that's going to backfire here. Still, Lithuanians, super powerful civilization on Four Lakes here. Oh yeah, the score. Added one to Mr.Yo. So that's gonna be a very, very nice civilization to use here for Dogao. He's got very, very close deer as well. And this map has elephants and rhinos, which means we have more food on them than standard boars. The zebra really doesn't want to get eaten, but it looks like he's gonna be left with no choice. Soon, Dogao is gonna come with a dog because that's the fast dog strategy from Lithuanians. These are not live games because for whatever reason the organizers decided to have recorded games from this one, but these are recorded games shown for the first time, so yeah, technically most games are live from the tournament, but this set for whatever reason was organized as recorded games, so yeah, but no one has ever seen these recordings before, so I guess we can consider it just as much as if it was live. Alright, so where's the dog at from Dogao? This is a little bit awkward because with Lithuanians you can go for a much faster dock, yet this is basically almost standard-ish dock timing. You see that he already has 5 on food, he's going very, very heavy on wood. This is gonna be a super heavy fish boom from him. 6 on wood is super heavy here. Now, he did not find some of his goats just yet, and his right side is very exposed. Has a quick situation evaluation. But one thing I like about Dogao's base is that his gold is very safe. He's got some safe wood lines as well to work with. The berries are alright. So everything seems to be alright with his base other than the stone. Right side, as I said, very exposed, but left side is fairly well defendable. Meanwhile, on the other side, we are gonna have Doc coming in here for Mr.Yo. First fishing ship already popping out for our red player. So, as things stand, Yo is also 6 on wood, which means he's gonna be very, very heavy on fishing as well. He actually finds a near perfect dock spot. In fact, it's a perfect dock spot. 3 deep fish right next to it, plus obviously the shore fish that the villager is gonna be taking. This is an amazing dock for Mr.Yo here. He's gonna wall off the right side real quick because he wants to avoid a sneaky villager coming over and sneaking a dock upon him. Something I appreciate quite a bit. Whereas for Mr. Dogao, he is not really doing much in terms of walling, but holy potatoes, that's already 9 avails on wood. I think this might end up being even was heavy, just go full fish boom style play, because he's super, super heavy on wood. That's not something that you often see in this map. You see that Yo is 7 on wood, and that's already sort of a little bit excessive. 9 on wood is brutal. He has just lured in his second boar, whereas if you compare it to Mr.Yo, Yo is almost done consuming the second one already. So, for now it's gonna be a barracks for Dogao, and that is why he was so heavy on wood. He needs to have a bunch of extra wood if he wants to open with what I think could be men-at-arms. Something that's very unconventional here, and Yo is gonna be very unlucky. He does not see the barracks. A good man-at-arms opening here from Dogao could actually be devastating. Now, I think that he still needs to wall himself, but this could be an interesting idea from Dogao over here. He's gonna click up, and since he's mining gold and he's not sneaking a villager, I would assume that's gonna be a man-at-arms opening. But one thing that he does not do is protect his fishing eco against the potential docking, and I never understood this at pro games. Like, if you're playing like this, you gotta wall this one off. Because every single game I have seen, there is always a player that sneaks a villager up on the opponent's pond. There is always one. And I just don't understand why Dogao, like, if he wants to play it like this, he's gonna have to have eyes around this area. Now, keep in mind that he's gonna find the scout, and I think he might know about this dock already, but it's too late. The villager is walled in, the dock is going up, and Dogao can do nothing to prevent that. He wanted to wall this one off, but it's just a little too late now. So, men-at-arms coming over, and this could end up being a men-at-arms towers play. Now, it's only 2 villagers being pulled, so it's not gonna be a super tower in your face, it's gonna be a tower here. Because that would deny that gold mine, and the way that Dogao could defend against this fire galley opening here is by just denying the gold from his opponent. Nonetheless, because he has to grab men-at-arms upgrade, he doesn't have gold for his own fire galley, and that's going to hurt quite badly. So Yo getting caught off guard by the men-at-arms opening here though, and that's where he's gonna have to do quite a bit of a quick walling to ensure that he's not gonna die, and it looks like it's not a tower. It's gonna be a dock on the pond of Mr.Yo as well. So Dogao will try to defend here against the fire galleys, and he will try to dock the pond of the opponent, plus apply pressure with the men-at-arms. At the same time, a range is coming in as well. This is something that will be spotted by Dogao, but Dogao only has 1 scout, and that's gonna be a massive thing here. That 1 scout, especially with free HP, it won't be able to kill archers. In fact, Dogao is just gonna yoink that. So, the thing is that by going archers here, you force Mr.Yo to make a range and make skirmishers. If you went for scouts, like you could try doing men-at-arms scouts and just go for fire galleys with the gold that you're mining, then your opponent could just make spearmen to defend. So in such scenarios, even without men-at-arms, archers could make more sense because that forces an archer range from the opponent to make skirms. Nonetheless, it's a second dock coming in here for our red player. For now, he's gonna be able to hold his fishing eco, but he can't really afford a second dock. I kind of feel like this build is kind of wacky here for Dogao, because there are some things all over the place. For example, the fact that, as I said, he somehow allowed his opponent to get the dock upon his pond, and now the fact that these villagers are completely idle here. There is an archer coming in though, and as I said, denying this gold mine could be pretty massive, because Mr.Yo wouldn't be able to get fire galleys out. Dogao loses the first villager of the game here to a fire galley, and the big thing here is that Dogao is already losing his fishing eco. Mr.Yo isn't, and that's a massive difference right now, that Yo's got fishing eco working for him for a longer amount of time. That is going to be fire galleys trading off against each other in this one. Meanwhile, the men-at-arms are just casually watching as the archers are picking them off from a distance. I just don't like this game for Dogao overall. It feels like he wanted to go for some mind games, but this is not a polished build by any means. You see that he's just lacking the follow-up here. He can't afford going for a dock here, going for double docks here, and going for archers as well. That's just impossible to afford. And in the meanwhile, Yo is doing what you always do. Just go for a dock on the opponent's pond, and that's it. So now you're gonna have a dock finally coming in here, but by this time, Yo has gotten a massive value out of these fishing ships. So even if you kill them, I feel like Yo overall will have a way better resource count. I just really don't like how Dogao played this one. First of all, allowing this dock to go up, I think if you are going for anything other than docking the opponent's spawn yourself, like immediately, you gotta wall this off. And I don't really see pro players doing that a lot, and they often die to just the sneaky dock coming up in their face. Even if it's not sneaky, the villager will be quick walled, so there's no chance of stopping that. After your opponent starts constructing that dock, you don't stop that. So now it is Mr.Yo cleaning up the remaining skirmishers of Dogao. 17 to 6 KD, I think, tells the whole story in this game, and it very much seems like Yo was just simply not warmed up for the Arabia game, because after that he has been stomping Dogao. 20 kills, 6 deaths. Now Fire Galley will be able to retaliate here a little bit, but as I said, it might just be a little too late for Dogao now, who is apparently planning to wall off like 30% of the map for himself here. 10 army versus 5. The bigger problem for Dogao is that his 5 army is Fire Galleys, whereas his opponent has archers, scouts, skirms now, so quite a lot of units that could do damage to the land eco of Dogao. For example, his only food source, which is the berries here right now. So, villager here is gonna get picked off most likely. Yes, it will. 7 eco lost already by Dogao, just 1 from Yo. Yo is going to soon lose a couple more fishing ships, so that sort of evens things out, but still not an ideal scenario over here, as at this point Yo has a dock on the right side, so you can actually start adding fishing ships over there. Dogao also started adding fishing ships on his own pond once again, but I feel like Yo is just always one step ahead compared to Dogao. Look at those resources. This is what I was referring to. Yo has gotten much more value out of those fishing ships than Dogao did. And that is why he is almost ready to click up to Castle Age, whereas Dogao isn't. In fact, Dogao's only reasonable food source has just been denied on the berries. He has 4 archers, 1 skirm, but he's up against a much more formidable force over here. Yo is gonna have an untouched fishing on the right side. I think we are marching towards a 3-1 scoreline over here. At a quite rapid pace, I must say. Because as things stand, things are not looking great for Dogao here. Mr.Yo is just gonna go up to Castle Age. He's gonna go Knights, which will even have bonus damage against archers. He has camels to deal with early Knights of Dogao, should Dogao find any way into Castle Age, which seems extremely unlikely, let's just say that. And even then, Yo's got untouched fishing eco here. Yo's got faster working TCs now, so he can just drop an additional TC and just sit on his lead and boom. So everything seems to be going in the favor of our blue player here, as Dogao is still nowhere close to Castle Age. I think this might be a GG called by Dogao if Yo reaches Castle. At this point, Dogao is hoping that Yo is far away from Castle Age as well, that he can just reboom on water, but that's not really the case. In fact, as I said, Yo is dropping stable number 2, and it's gonna be standard good old-fashioned double stable knights, probably into forward siege workshop and just press this wood line with mangonels is the name of the game. Scouts coming out for Dogao, and he now sees that his opponent is up to Castle Age, foraging even coming in for Yo, as the knights will start appearing on the field, and we'll see what Yo does with his stone. Is he gonna just make TCs, or just leave it there for the time being and go for a forward siege workshop? I mean, Dogao is trying his best here, but I think he's a little too far behind. He's still just about to click up to Castle Age, and indeed, he realizes that, look, I'm going nowhere. He knows exactly that his right side is wide open. The first 2 knights will destroy him entirely. And also, I think that the other thing, or the catalyst for this GG, was this final moment here. Because while Dogao was microing his stuff, this is what happened. There was a demo here before as well. Yeah, let's just rewatch this part. So, this was actually not even a good demo here for Mr.Yo, but the fact that he's able to take down that Fire Galley real fast and then just win this fight as it is going to mean that the fishing eco of Dogao is going to be very exposed once again. So, you see that it is The Fire Gal is going down. He's not in Castle Age. He's not even super close to clicking up. So he would need at least 3 more minutes until he gets to Castle Age. He's got no tools to hold against this push on the spawn. And he's got no tools to hold against the Persian Knights from Mr.Yo. And with that, Yo, after getting absolutely annihilated in game number 1, he actually strikes back and just outplayed Dogao by a massive margin. We still saw a fairly competitive set, although some of the games felt a little bit one-sided. I would have loved to see some longer lasting games, but this one was a pretty decent one as well for Mr.Yo. And with that, Yo is going to move into the next round, and I think he would actually fight against the winner of MBL versus Tato. That should be somewhere around next weekish. Congrats to Mr. Yo. He's the one moving into the next round.